Well, hello, everybody. It's Portland Press, and I am back, owner of Experience Now Travel Agency. Yesterday, I came on and I did a quick introduction, and so today, which is day two, we're actually going to have our topic about cruising. So I figured what would be nice, since I was on a cruise, was to talk about things that you either bring or do when you're going on a cruise. So the first thing we're going to start out is what you bring. Right off the top, you want to make sure that you always have your travel documents printed out. I make sure that it's something easily accessible because sometimes getting back into your internet is not always the easiest thing. So you either want to have your identification or you're going to have your passport. And then sometimes the cruise lines will actually send you your luggage tags. So you want to print those, which makes it a lot easier for them to get your luggage your to your cabin. The next thing you want to bring is going to be your motion sickness pills. Any type of motion sickness pills, such as Dramamine, ginger chews, or maybe pressure bands, those are helpful because you do not want to get sick because it's hard to recover when you're actually on the cruise. Another thing I would say would be small denominational bills, and that's because if you're in destination, you don't want to have large bills that you're trying to purchase things with. It's so much easier if you have the smaller bills, as well as for tipping. Another item, which would be magnetic hooks. Because the walls in the cabin are made of metal, it just makes it so much easier if you have those extra hooks that you can just plop onto the wall. They stick really good. You can hang up things like hats, your lanyards. You can hang up bathing suits, jackets. It's just really nice, and that's something you can just get from Amazon. Another thing I would say would be water bottles, and that's because when you're in the at the restaurants or stuff, you can get your drinks and things, but it's kind of hard to walk around with that. So when you have your water bottles, that's helpful to take water back to your room, as well as when you're in port, to make sure you stay hydrated while you're doing your excursions. The next thing I would say would be a portable battery charger, and that's because you are constantly taking photos, and so we will burn our batteries up real quick. So a external battery charger is always going to be helpful. The next item would be pool bags. Sometimes we forget to pack a pool bag, and when we're headed to the pool or to the jacuzzi, we realize, oh my gosh, what am I going to put my key card in? What am I going to put my suntan lotion, my sunglasses, And so it's like, oh my gosh, and you don't want to have to buy anything. So a pool bag is definitely something you want to bring. Another thing I would say would be a lanyard, because most of the cruise lines usually use the little like sailing sign cards, and it's just easy to keep up with if you have a lanyard. Other than that, you're going to have to purchase one, which usually are like about $10, not unless you want like one from the cruise line, like a commemorable one. But other than that, you can get those ahead of time. Another thing I always bring are pool snacks. And that's because, not pool snacks, excuse me, room snacks. That's because even though, there's so much food, on the ship, there's ice cream on the ship, there's all kinds of cookies, and there's all types of cakes, but sometimes there's nothing better than a good old bag of Doritos. So I always try to bring some Doritos or some type of chips, a candy bar, a good payday, a Hershey bar or something. And then, of course, I like to bring my sunflower seeds, which are also helpful for motion sickness as well. So some room snacks are really good. And then the last thing I would say to bring would be some type of entertainment, like I say a deck of cards, and that's because, or dominoes. That's because when you were there's downtime in between the shows, in between eating, and you're like, what do you want to do? And it's so easy to just kind of like sit out on the pool deck and just have a really fun game of cards. So those are the top 10 things I would say to bring. Now, the things that I would say to do. Number one is, before you get on the cruise, make sure you download that cruise line's app. All of them have them, excuse me, and it allows you to get in. You want to get your reservation set, make sure you're able to see your booking, be able to see your cabin information, and then each cruise line at a certain date will open up what's called their excursions, and it allows you to see the different activities that are going to be happening on the ship, the different dining options. And so as soon as that date hits, you want to go ahead and log in and start selecting them. And that way it makes sure that you have the experience that you want to have. If you want to do a specialty dining, if you want to do iFly, if you want to do a particular excursion, you want to go ahead and get that done and reserved early, because sometimes by the time you actually get on the cruise line, it can be booked and you will end up with a sad face. So I always recommend getting online to check the dining, the activities, as well as any spas or excursions. Another thing you want to do is you can do your online muster drill that usually opens up 24 hours before, and that way you can watch the video, listen to the horn, and that way by the time you actually get onto the cruise ship, you don't have to do all that all over again. All you do is go to your muster station, they will check and see that you're done, and it's just a quick check off. So that's something that can save time. One of the things that you want to definitely do is go ahead and activate your airplane mode so that when you are cruising, you do not get charged roaming fees. So unless you've changed that over, unless you've made arrangements with your cellular provider, you will get charged roaming fees if you start using your phone. So you want to go ahead and get on the airplane mode and then start to connect with the ship's Wi-Fi. Sometimes they give you some type of free Wi-Fi service. Sometimes you may have to pay a little bit additional, but you definitely want to do that. And then after you do that, you want to make sure that you get set up with whomever you're traveling with. So whomever your cabin mate is, if you're with a group of people, you guys go ahead and get that set up, because once you start sailing, it's going to be really hard to start connecting with people once you've left your cabin. So make sure you guys get your communication set up between each person. The next thing you want to do is, I would say, inspect your cabin. Make sure everything is in order. Make sure everything is working. All your plugs. Just make sure the things that are the way they're supposed to be. And with that, you want to go ahead and meet your cabin steward. The reason you want to meet your cabin steward is because he's going to be, or she's going to be, the person that will be able to handle any special request that you may want with regards to your cabin. So maybe they offer mattress toppers, if you want to get additional mattress topper to go on your bed. If you need extra towels, if you need to have maybe distilled water for a CPAP machine, all that is going to come through your cabin steward. So it's really good to know that person ahead of time. Okay. Another thing you want to do is, some cruise lines will offer what's called a daily planner. Sometimes it is printed, and you can just go ahead and take a quick look and see exactly what is going on the ship. I mean, I know you were able to see some things on the app, but now that you're on the ship, you can actually get a full view of the things that they have printed out daily, because sometimes things can change. Another thing I like to do is, usually there's always kind of like a cruise TV, and you usually will have like maybe the cruise director, or there's some type of programming that will literally go through everything. And I find it so helpful because it shows me like where the venues are. It shows me specialty performances that may be happening, something that I might have saw on the app and was like, I don't want to see that, but then when I actually see it on the TV screen, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is super interesting. So make sure you take a time. It takes like maybe 3 or 4 minutes tops to look at that cruise TV program, and it will give you, I mean, just a quick summary of everything and the different locations that they have on the ship. And the next thing you want to do after that is you want to go tour the ship. Take that first day to walk around the ship. Get familiar with where things are, where the dining hall, where the main dining is, where the specialty restaurants are, where the gym is if you work out. I got to start working out. But just where everything is, the sports complex, where the pools are, where the adult pool is. It is so helpful if you get that all taken care of on the first day, because then as the days carry on, you're like, oh, I want to go here. And now you're not trying to find out, am I forward, am I aft, is in the middle, which elevator. So yeah, get familiar with the ship on the first day. And the last thing I'm going to say for the first day of your cruise ship is, every cruise line has a sail away party. That fun celebration. Go to it, you guys. Don't bypass that. That is the kickoff of your cruise. There's just entertainment, there is hype energy, there are people dancing and singing and swinging all over the place. And that is the best way to kick your cruise off, with just an afternoon of fun. So you guys, hopefully this information was helpful. I'm sure some things that maybe you already knew, but maybe it was something that you had forgotten, and you bring it forward again. But hopefully, like I said, some of this information was helpful. So if you're interested in taking a cruise, please reach out to me, and I'm sure there's more helpful hints, and we can definitely get you started on a cruise vacation of your lifetime. So until tomorrow, happy cruising, you guys. Talk to you later.